Hello, and welcome to another Power Hour Working Wednesday stream. Whether you're joining me live or joining me after the fact, I appreciate you being here. Do this about 2 Wednesdays per month, but sometimes a little more, occasionally a little bit less. If you don't know me, I'm Mercy, the Game Master here at the Monsters, and we have a lot to do, as we usually do, but that's kind of the point of all this. So what's going on is we put 30 minutes on the clock. We try to stay pretty focused on the subject at hand to try and get that done. Or at least if we're going on bunny trails, to go on ones that are related to our main goal. Then we take a quick 5-minute stretch break, and then we come back. We put another 30 minutes on the clock, and then ideally we try to end right on time at the end of that power hour. Now, there is a little bit of leeway. We do kind of allow ourselves to go up to 90 minutes if necessary, but the point is to be fairly short, fairly concise, fairly focused, and to get done what we need to do. So many people who join us are DMs and GMs, but you certainly don't have to be. A lot of people that tune in and watch these actually use the time to do the dishes or clean a room or something like that. So whatever you need to get done that you've been putting off, now's a good time to do it. Hello, Nun. How are you today, sir? Or kibitz. I don't know that word. Let's see. As far as announcements and things go, I'm finishing getting my resources pulled up here that we're going to be working on. Next D&D live session is looking like it's going to be, for the Kingdom of Ren, is going to be probably on Saturday the 17th of August, with the next one possibly being on the following Saturday the 24th. As far as the Ren Chronicles group goes, if you don't know about that, we have a second campaign that runs in our campaign
YouTube
as well.
Stream is now live.
Thank you, Lumia. Nailed it. I believe they are looking at Monday the 26th of August. But we'll make sure that that gets posted a little bit more clearly when we get a little bit closer to it. So, let's see what else. I suspected that this was coming, but it is time to make it official. Mind Over Mandy has had to, hopefully temporarily, but for the moment indefinitely, step away from playing in the Kingdom of Ren campaign. No interpersonal drama or anything like that. She's just focusing some time and efforts on some other goals that she has kind of outside of the content creation space. And we're very supportive of that for her. We want her to pursue those goals and to hopefully accomplish those. And obviously in the long term, we really like Mandy as a friend and have enjoyed playing with her as a player as well. So we hope that she's able to rejoin us. But for the time being, and for the foreseeable future, Mandy playing as Ava is going to be stepping away. So obviously it's not the preferred outcome, and I'm sure not the preferred outcome for her as well, but we wish her nothing but all of the best in her endeavors. And, we hope to see her playing Ava again at some point in the future. How we'll be handling that in game, it's a little awkward because of like physically where Ava is and has been for the last few sessions. So I have, there's, I think, a pretty easy narrative for what Ava would want to pursue after the battle, obviously depending on the outcome of the battle. But Ava's a member of the militia. So if anything, the bigger challenge was going to be coming up with a reason that made sense for Ava to leave the militia and adventure with the party. And so I think for the time being, assuming that there is still a militia for her to return to, in character, having Ava focus her efforts on whatever the militia is doing after the battle, if anything, I think narratively makes a lot of sense. And gives us a pretty easy way to work Ava back in if Mandy's able to rejoin us in the future. Hello, Shalandor. How are you? Oh, that was a fantastic neck pop. I'm sure the microphone did not pick it up. So we need to assign experience, everybody's favorite. For Ava, obviously, as we just discussed, we already kind of know what that looks like. What about for the rest of our folks? I thought 0. So we kind of do this in two ways. We do use experience. I know these days that's kind of passe. We're all supposed to be using milestone. And I would say that we use a hybrid XP and milestone system. We want to award play at the table, but at the same time, of course, major milestones are worth major amounts of XP. So we do a bit of both, but we do keep track of experience, and so far that has worked really well for us. Hello, Lee and Lily. Thank you guys for joining. How are you? Also, no, this is not a White Claw. It's a Celsius. I just realized that it looks about the same. So, within a session, we kind of do the same thing. So, we give session experience, and then we give experience for particularly standout moments, decisions, role playing, and etc. So, let me get that pulled up. D&D. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. For XP over milestone can be useful. Yeah. To be clear, I'm not in any way crapping on milestone with my aside about how it's the more popular system these days for a lot of folks. It's not my personal preference, but like I said, I acknowledge some merits to it, and that's why I would describe what we do as closer to a hybrid. It's probably more XP than milestone, but still, I would call it a hybrid. You're doing okay, laying on the couch and watching while Amaras takes the kids on a bike ride. Because today was the day that you had procedure, right? At first, I couldn't remember if it was today or yesterday, but I'm assuming, given from your today or tomorrow, but I'm assuming from your wording that it was today. Well, I hope you're doing all right. So within the session, we give session XP and then individual XP. So session XP is kind of intended to cover just broadly the role playing. Presumably you were contributing to the narrative, you were making decisions in character. I don't want to track down and give you XP for every NPC that you told a fart joke to, or every sword hit that you landed, or anything like that. So the session XP kind of covers just like the general contribution to the scenario, and then the individual awards are for, well, more, like I said, standout kind of individual things. So for session, we usually range between 50 and 100. There was quite a bit that happened in that session. The previous session, we'd gone with 75. I felt that just somewhat because of dice rolls and somewhat because of decisions, there wasn't quite as much that took place. But yeah, as Lily said, it was a crazy session. So I think we're going to go with the full 100 this time. I'll think about it a little bit. Sometimes, as we kind of cook on the individual things that we give experience for, sometimes, I come back and adjust it up or down a little bit. But I think, at least at face value, doing the max that we do makes sense. We're not giving encounter XP because that's, well, for one, we haven't actually finished the encounter. And we kind of wrapped up several of the individual things within the battle as encounters, and then obviously the whole battle itself is also an encounter. Yeah, thank you, Lily. Yeah, I think that was a really cool, and I think the next session is going to be a banger. There is so many springs have been coiled that I think for better and or for worse, it's all breaking loose next session. A lot of decisive moments coming. Let's see. So first things first, the more obvious ones. Did we have anybody become disabled or start dying? We'll assign any experience, any relevant experience there first. Next thing would be any non-combat encounters or like heavy role play. Now, obviously, in a large combat situation like this, there's a relatively limited opportunity for that sort of thing. But I do think, and I'll remain nameless, so we'll be spoiler free. I do think that one of our player characters had a really standout moment in that regard. So I'm going to give a little bit of experience there. So let's see. How do I want it to? I don't want to note this because I only get like 4 words to write it down. Yeah, you're good. Generally speaking, we do either 10, 20, or 30 experience for those kind of standout roleplay moments. I think actually, I want to give him 20. Last time we gave him 20 for 2 decisions that he made, so 10 each. But I think that was actually underselling it a little bit. So I think we're going to do 15 each for the previous, and then 20 for kind of the single incident this time around. Okay. That feels good. Oh, right. And I have to be careful. I almost missed. We had another player that was absent. I almost gave them a bunch of XP. Okay. So, of the others, is there anything from a roleplay standpoint that especially jumps out at me? And like I said, I'm glossing over it because I think that they are I think that everyone in our party are good players that are that contribute well mechanically and that are fun to watch. And so I'm not trying to necessarily nickel and dime every little thing. I think of course all of them did things during the session that contributed to the story unfolding. Absolutely. I'm just trying to think if there's any like keystone moments that we're missing potentially. Not from a role play standpoint. So, how about combat impact? There's of course a standout moment there that makes a lot of sense. Now in general, I try not to give XP too much for things that are strictly dice related, but I think that one was too cool not to mention at least briefly. Were there any other? Ooh, okay, so I'm not going to say what it was, but does anybody remember who actually pitched the idea for how the party at the harbor is going to try to deal with their situation? I believe it was Skabosh, but I'm a little hazy on that one. Can go back and look if we had to. You think so as well? Okay. I think it probably would have been Rubato and or Skabosh and Rubato together, but Rubato's player was absent. Okay. I think those 3 things are the main keystone things that jump out at me. I think we're good there. And the next one, like I said, is almost certainly going to be the 17th. You know what? Actually, I should ping our group and clarify that we are playing on the 17th and that we're waiting to confirm for the 24th. This is 8/17/24. That is session 14 of season 1. Okay. Yeah, just to make sure. Well, so part of what we're waiting for, I don't know. I'm torn because part of what we were waiting for is Druge hadn't quite confirmed yet. Let me go and look at his wording again. He said by Wednesday or Thursday, but and it's only Wednesday afternoon. However, it tends to be fairly difficult to get a hold of Dr. Huge Time through Discord. So I'm going to go ahead and ping him now. And then hopefully we can get that ball rolling. So, yeah, he had said, Druge had said that the 17th and 24th were maybes. I asked him when he could confirm that by, and he said, essentially, I don't know, probably Wednesday or Thursday. I don't remember exactly how that was worded, but. So, notes. I am horrifically behind on notes. Now, part of that's because it's fairly difficult to make narratively meaningful notes when it comes to a battle scene like this. But also, well, a number of other things kind of playing out there. Also, I'm behind. So, our other big thing for today is, how are we doing? Oh, we got tons. We're going to leapfrog for now. And go with the session 14, which is the upcoming session notes, and get those set up really, really well, and make sure that at worst we have a good starting point to resume our note keeping. Now, my hope, dream, and dare I even say it, plan is going to be to sorry, I just noticed something was wrong in the title of one of the D&D videos, is going to be to go back and rewatch some sessions, at least at like 2x speed, and try to retroactively fill out some of those notes. Realistically, is that going to happen or not? We'll see. But broadly, that's my plan. However, if we don't get that done, then we either just continue failing henceforth forever to get this back on track, or we have to pick a new start point. So, session 14's notes, which will be the next session, are going to be our new anchor point. We're going to have to ask Aurar if she has notes. I know, so yes, but I also know that Aurar's had a bit more going on behind the scenes recently. And also, as a result of that, I guess, she has not had time to go through and do timestamps and stuff like she used to do. So I suspect that she probably also doesn't have a whole lot of notes. Sadly, to my earlier point, one of the many reasons that I enjoy playing D&D with Might Over Mandy is she was also a very, very good note taker. So I could always look back on her notes, but that is not going to save us this time. Train Loki to take the notes. Okay. The one thing I do want to do really quickly for the session 13 notes, though, is just like where we began. Let's see. What was our morning hours. That's happening. Harbor party is doing this. And Northern. Okay. That at least gives me some really, really rough. It's not that I haven't been writing anything for the sessions, but what I usually do is keep pretty detailed notes as we go in bullet point form. And then I go back afterwards. And what we've done during previous working sessions like this is then turn those into a full-on paragraph structure narrative of like 3 to 5 paragraphs. And as I've not been keeping up on the bullet point notes because the battle has been so much more technical and requires a lot of focus to execute in a relatively timely fashion, have not been keeping my bullet point notes, which then makes creating a narrative really difficult. Amras handwrites his. No, which I think is awesome. I really love that he's doing that. So this will be session 14, Battle of Capstone, part 5. Or sorry, no, part 5 was last time, part 6. Now, as far as the battle goes, I'm still very, like, I want to preface this by saying I am very happy with how all this has worked. I think, considering the scope and the way that we decided to do it, it has run pretty quickly and pretty smoothly and whatnot. That being said, when we first planned this out, I believe what I had told the Mortal Woes and whatnot was to prepare for, like, I knew 2 was unlikely, but to prepare for 2 to 4 sessions with maybe a 5th. And here we are coming up on session 6 with maybe a 7th. But hey, I've never done anything like this before. I don't know if really anybody's done anything quite like this before. And like I said, overall, very excited for how all this has worked. And I think we've managed to be true enough to the mechanics to feel grounded in reality, while also making enough concessions to keep things moving to a reasonable degree. Yeah. Do I wish that we'd ended up we'd been able to get through it maybe one session faster? Like, yeah, that would have been ideal. But overall, 8.5 out of 10. I'm very happy with how things have gone. And I'm actually planning on doing a video series kind of on the anatomy of a large scale combat scene that I think could be very useful for other game masters. The hard part is going to be I need to get those scripts at least bullet pointed in the next couple of weeks, because soon we are going to be caught up in the whirlwind of preparing for our next big Twitch streamathon. You can send me a picture, but his penmanship is horrible. Hey, so is mine. I get it. Hello, Vincent. How can you work a party into a major battle alone and feel like they're contributing? Yeah. So I think we did okay with that. There's an additional layer of, and I think you're suggesting that more as a video topic, which is also a fantastic idea. But to address that in regards to our battle, I think, that in and of itself is a difficult challenge. How to enjoin a party in medias res. And then furthermore, for our situation, we added a whole nother game master into the mix as well. So I think it went fine. No, I don't think Atma dropped the ball, and I don't think that we like dropped the ball and setting it up for him or the other party or anything like that. I think we learned some things where if we ever do anything like that again, I think it'll go even better. But I think it went okay. But yes, as far as video topics go, I will totally write that down because that's a good idea. I'm actually going to put that in Trello. You kind of liked how they're growing. They're so new. Yeah. I think so. Yeah, I think overall it fits just fine. I think some of it is probably just a perception, like it's a little bit jarring coming from a party that has both in and out of character that has like 20-ish sessions together, and then a brand new party, which no matter how experienced you are at D&D, first couple sessions are always a little bit awkward. It just is what it is. You gotta get into your rhythm. You gotta get into the rhythm with your own character. You gotta get into the rhythm with with your the other player characters. You as a player have to get into a rhythm with the other players. And also a lot of our folks in the other party are learning 3.5 in D&D, so you have to also like get up to pace with all that. So I actually think that our new party has done a really good job. It's hard, but I think they're off to a good start. And I'm excited to, like, I know it might sound trite, but I'm excited to see them continue growing. D&D battle key takeaways. So I think including party into battle in ways so they feel like they're contributing. So, and there's another good question there too that I'll address in a second. But I think the other thing that I ignored was I focused on the new group there. As far as the original group, I'm pretty pleased with how that's gone. As far as giving the group spaces where they can have high impact plays, but also not only focusing on that. And I've talked about this before, but I think one of the things that tends to suffer in D&D large combat is the feeling of largeness. It tends to be, oh, okay, here there's 10,000 people all fighting. You guys have been sent to assassinate the enemy general, and then when the enemy general dies, then the whole army will magically run away, or like whatever. And I think it loses that sense of bigness and that sense of danger that battle can have. Now, did we lean too far into all of that? Maybe, perhaps. There could be some argument there. Overall, I don't think so, but there's certainly room for some discussion there. But I'm pretty pleased with how the original party's opportunities for contribution have played out. There was something in the preamble leading up to the battle that I was hoping to execute on that we didn't get done just because of time. But I don't think that significantly. I think it would have been more of a cherry on top kind of thing versus something that's glaringly missing. Okay, I wrote down a couple of other ideas that I have for that series because I hadn't stopped and gotten that written down yet. I'll catch up on the chat here in just one moment. Will we ever see... Wait, hold on. Did I miss something else? No, I guess we're good. Will we ever see more of the Kingdom of Ren, like the capital and other settlements? Yes, absolutely. In fact, I think you never know as a game master what your parties are going to do. But I would say with a high degree of confidence that where they go and what they do might be different depending on the outcome of the battle. But either way, I would say with a high degree of confidence that it's likely that our characters in the Kingdom of Ren, the original campaign, will leave the Capstone area, at least for a time, after the conclusion of the battle. Ultimately, players will do what players will do. But that is kind of that's my estimation as best as I can make one. The other settlements are, relatively fleshed out as well. It's one of the benefits of, having run this setting for as long as we have. Our previous party went, broadly speaking, they started in the middle. Well, they started the Tired Traveler Inn, so kind of the north central part of the kingdom. They went south, and then they looped around to the east, and then they went back north, and then they went back south, and then they sailed. There was a big ocean faring adventure, and then they came back, and then they went into the Forest of Daloth, and then I might have some of the order a little bit wrong, but then they came back out and went on another sailing adventure, and then they came back, and then they went north, and then they got employed to essentially try and find the Northwest Passage, to try and find a trade route through the Serpent Spine Mountains, because some of the middle class and lower nobility in the northern barony are tired of paying taxes to the central barony, for all the trade going in and out through the pass at Kalen. So yeah, there's quite a bit there. I mean, there's plenty of room, obviously, to continue to grow all of that as well. But player characters have touched, I think, every town in the Kingdom of Rin. No, that's not true. They've never gone to Tonda. They talked about it, but they never did. I think other than Tonda, player characters have touched every town and city in the Kingdom of Rin at least once, and I think really multiple times for just about all of them. If only Rubato had read from the book. Oh, wait, hold on. You love how they have an Amras as well. There's a battle going on, and he wanted a horse. Yeah. If only Rubato had read from the book. So many what ifs. And that could get complicated. We might have a whole detective mission on our hands because, again, I want to be spoiler free, but because of things that happened in the last session. If you've not caught up on the video yet, I would highly recommend you do so. I think that was a really cool session. Let me grab that link real quick, and then we'll go take our stretch break. Yep, exactly. Thank you. Get the shareable link. So here's the session video. And then also, in the meantime, while I'm gone, if you guys haven't had a chance to check out our newest YouTube short, it has continued to perform pretty well. I think it has the best ratio of views to likes that we've ever had on a video. It has right about 1,600 views. Right about 1,700 views and 43 likes, which is fantastic. I'm incredibly excited about that. So thank you to everybody that has already helped boost it and get it where it is. I think I'm getting better at editing the YouTube shorts. Right, Lily? So there's the shorts. Enjoy those while I'm gone. I'll be back in about 5, and then we'll get back to it. Hey, I got to set up the timer first, I suppose. Speaking of liking things, if you haven't yet liked the live stream, would super appreciate it if you would do that as well. That's a good way to tell YouTube for free that they should show our content to more people. Help grow our community. So break ends, countdown clock, 5 minutes. All right, I'm going to stretch my legs. I'll be back. Big part of the reason that I got up was to go and get the charger for my phone, because we have an event for Pixie's work tonight, and I want my phone to be charged before we go. I went upstairs, got the charger, set the charger on the bed to go to the bathroom, went to the bathroom, promptly came back downstairs without the charger. I had to go back and get it. Thank you. So, what's in my notes file? This was partly for those of you watching, and partly for the sake of reviewing it myself. But for session notes, I preload it with some information that I think that I'm going to potentially want. So one of those things is going to be oh, this is actually so good. Okay. So is again writing out those that kind of this. What's the setting? So, our harbor party is preparing to do this. Northern Army is doing this. Now, I want to make notes of any specific scenes that I want to try to hit. Now, I don't force scenes. If the opportunity doesn't arise, then so be it. But there are some that I think will happen pretty much for sure because of the way that things are laid out, and a few that I think have a high likelihood of occurring. And then also whether or not there are any mechanics that I need to research ahead of time to be prepared for those scenes, such as potentially learning a little bit about like how I want to, or figuring out a little bit about how I want to handle like momentum. If you know, you know. So what other things are in here? Well, any special mechanics that I think that I might need. So the orc tribes each have different specialties. Some of them are a little bit more obvious, like the mounted orcs or whatnot. And some of them are a little bit more subtle, like some of them might have better equipment or that kind of thing. So some of those have specific notes that I need to have written down, like like these guys take less damage or yada yada. So that's in my notes, so I don't have to go looking for it. And then also things that might be useful during a battle, like how does breaking a wooden object work? So I have some quick notes on the rules for that sort of thing written down. Also some names and ranks of certain NPCs that might be interacted with. Hello, Lee. Over someone's head? Oh, breaking a wooden object. Yes, yes. Let's see. Is there anything else in particular that I want to prepare there? Not that I can think of. I also want to have at least some general ideas, kind of in the back of my mind, as far as if we do manage to conclude the battle scene one way or the other during the next session, what does the aftermath look like? Um, what does success look like? What does failure look like? And I guess there's, I would say there's success, there's failure, and there's critical failure. Now you might question like, well, why not critical success? Well, normally I would, but casualties have already been very high, so I think we're past the point of critical success. So what would I define as the conditions for those things? What's that, Lee? Okay, I think that's a few good basic notes on how we're going to define success, failure, and critical failure. So now what do we want to plan? And again, there's only so much planning you can do on some of this stuff. I'm generally a very off-the-cuff DM, which I know might be hard to believe from the planning streams that we do. But I try to plan structures versus specifics. Ooh, I like that line. Speaking of for YouTube videos. So that way we can still make up the specifics on the fly based on what the player characters have decided to do. But at the same time, we're not totally caught with our pants down without having any idea how anything might happen. Okay, your headset is making a weird sound that you've not heard before. It's a Bluetooth slash 2.5 jack, and apparently can connect to both your phone and your computer at the same time. You got a phone call, and it auto transferred the sound over when you picked up. Made a little jingle sound when you were upstairs away from your computer. Interested. Okay, so I think I'm going to change the way that I structured those bullet points. I want to put conditions, so conditions and outcomes. That way I can keep my notes separated in a useful way. So conditions, and then let's go to outcomes. Is it bad that your supper is a container of Nutella? Probably not the most nutritious, but quite certainly delicious. Okay. So, what are some of the possible outcomes of success? I can't tell you that, but I'm going to write them down. I'm trying to think for probably for each character. It's pretty clear to me for most of them. Oh, and I hadn't really thought about. Okay. Is like, what makes sense for Rubato? Like, there's a few mechanical things that make sense, but I'm trying to think of a little bit more like roleplay impact. Okay. I have an idea. Okay. That's good. I'm going to need to do a little more with all of this, but I think that's good for now. So, what are some outcomes of failure? Not critical failure, but just failure. Yeah, the backstory videos are coming. We'll see. I suspect that I'm getting overcommitted with YouTube stuff with the timeline that we have to work with. But my hope is to get in the next month. Well, really, the next 2 to 3 weeks is to get at least broad strokes, like bullet pointing done for scripts for the battle videos that I was talking about. And then to execute on Rubato's backstory video so that we can get moving on that project again. Those are my two big YouTube dreams for the next 2 or 3 weeks. We're going to get both of those things done. Not entirely sure, but I'm certainly going to try. Okay, and then possible outcomes of critical failure. Hello, Amras. How are you? Just came in time to say that you're doing it all wrong. We have the players narrate their backstories. Yes, that's the one that we have done thus far. It was narrated, which was Bahir's, was narrated by Rocket. So that's the plan. I do also want to try and do backstory videos for the characters in the Rin Chronicles campaign. Realistically, that's going to be more of a fall season project, but I would like to do that also. You want to blow everything up. True words. Okay, I think we've done as much prep on battle aftermath as makes sense to do. Like I said, we want to build structures, not specifics. What rules questions do I have that we need to answer? Actually, that'll be something that we can do. How are we doing on time? We've got 13 minutes left. That'll be something that we can do during. I don't know. Hold on. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've got 12 more minutes. Let's see what we can work out here. But I suspect that our next working stream session, which will probably be next Wednesday, will likely have a focus on the more mechanical side of what we still have to do. We're kind of dealing with the narrative side right now. Hello, Kale. How are you? How was your first day? You don't want to get into it here. That's okay. But I've been thinking about you. Good, but exhausting. Well, I'm very proud of you for tackling this and taking on this new journey. Okay, I thought of a few more things that I wanted to put under outcomes for success. So there is. Hold on. How can I discuss this without giving things away? Maybe I can't. No, I don't think I can. At least with the thing that I was about to say. Um. Sorry, working on notes. Are you thinking about the short? I guess something else that I need to write out here is what are the orcs' strategies and objectives? Okay, I think that's some good notes for them. What questions do I still have to answer? Mechanics of rallying. We can look that up in a minute. Momentum. Okay. That happens at the harbor. That happens to the north. That happens with Bridget. At least, like I said, ideas. We'll see how the session plays out. I need to highlight a few things as well so we don't lose track of what still needs attention. That needs attention. That needs attention. This one definitely needs attention. Ooh. How fast does this thing happen? Okay, that's actually not too bad as far as what we still need to work out here. I'm sure I'll come up with more thoughts, but let's look at the mechanics of the rally check again. Really cool book. The Heroes of Battle is all about large-scale combat. I didn't actually end up using too much directly from this book, but there are some specific inspirations and whatnot that have been good. Oh, you know what? Other thing for outcomes. Cool. I'm glad I thought of that. Okay. Sorry. Heroes of Battle. So, morale. What did we do with morale? And why did we do what we did? Essentially, we didn't do a whole lot with morale. A few things. One, practically speaking, we didn't think of it until partway into the battle. So that's part of it. And then it became kind of weird for like, how do we fold that in, since that's not a thing that we've been doing. Two, it was going to take up more screen time. And as we discussed earlier, the overall pace of all of this has been something that we've been trying to keep moving forward. Three, frankly, without intervention from the players in a one-on-one fight, each orc is stronger than each human, which means that the humans start dying faster, which means that they are going to have to start making morale checks to not rout earlier, which essentially means that mechanically morale is better for the orcs. Now, I'm not opposed to that, and if I had thought of it before we started, then I would have had to have made some really serious decisions about like including it, and I probably would have, and that probably would have been catastrophic for the defenders. So what did we end up doing? Well, we did still use morale, but just not quite as written. And like I said, that had more to do with the mechanics of keeping the battle scenes moving than it did necessarily pulling the punch. I know some people might point the finger at me, but in general, I'm not really a punch puller, so that wasn't really what this was about. It does kind of inadvertently end up being a little bit of an effect, but you're supposed to, I forget the exact mechanics, and we could look at it in here. But generally speaking, you're supposed to rally check for about every 25% of damage that's dealt to a unit. And we only ended up doing it. So that would be, 3 times throughout the course of a battle, 75, 50, and 25. And we only ended up doing it once instead. But I think that's in line with the overall design principle of the battle, right? Of like where we are trying to mechanically represent how much damage should be being dealt. But at the same time, we're doing that based off of lots of averages instead of, rolling whatever, hundreds of dice every turn. And similarly with morale, although I did not go through and do the actual dice math for morale like I did with the attacks, and again, that's because we didn't actually think of it until partway into the battle. But realistically, most troops most of the time would succeed on the first 1 or 2 morale checks anyway, especially having commanders right on the field there with them, which give bonuses on morale checks, and and especially with somebody like Bridget around, who's like pretty motivating and has a high commander rating and all sorts of things. So I think realistically, on average, going with essentially the 25% morale check for the units made a lot. It fit, like I said, the overall design principle that we had for the battle and how we were trying to honor the mechanics while streamlining some things. Such a cool book, right? I love this book. That being said, near the end of the session, there was a very specific morale check, or rally check, sorry, that one of our player characters attempted. And I suspect as a result of all of that, there may potentially be some more rally checks in our future. So I know our timer just ran out, but let's look really quickly at the rally check and get those mechanics written out in our notes. So we're prepared for that. The rally check, page 73. I do love so the results of the rally check. Are heartened. A heartened character has been encouraged and is confident of victory. Heartened characters gain a +1 morale bonus on will saves against fear effects, including morale checks. Normal. Straightforward. Shaken. Frightened and panicked, which are the normal states of fear. But then we get an additional one here for crazed. If a creature rolls a 1 on a save that would make them panicked, he assumes one of the following conditions, determined randomly instead of being panicked. This condition overrides the effects of the character's normal morale condition. It remains for the duration of the battle +1 hour, or until the creature's morale improves to shaken or better. If a crazed creature's condition is removed through some other effect, treat the creature as panicked. Crazed creatures count as panicked for the purposes of rally check DCs. All right, you ready? It's a D%. 1 to 20. Berserk. The character makes a melee or ranged attack against the nearest living creature. Listen to that carefully. A berserk character makes a melee or ranged attack against the nearest living creature. Not enemy. Creature. Or closes with that creature if they cannot attack. 21 to 40. Cowering. Frozen in fear, they take no actions. They take a -2 penalty to AC and lose their dexterity bonus to AC. 41 to 60. Dazed. They take no actions. 61 to 80. Deafened. They cannot hear. They have a -4 to initiative. They get to make no listen checks. And they have a 20% spell failure chance on spells with a verbal component. And then nauseated. Unable to attack, cast spells, concentrate, or take any actions other than a single move action. So most of the rest of those are fairly straightforward, but Berserk is crazy. That does remind me of something else that I want to write down, actually, as far as scenes to hit upon. Okay. I'll get to that in just one sec, Vincent. Good question. The rally check. Anyway. To make a rally check, character rolls 1d20, adds their charisma modifier and their commander rating. So that's d20 plus charisma plus commander rating. Then I need to define really quickly what commander rating is in a second. You can only be rallied once per round. Oh, that's cool. There's some. What are these? These feats? Oh, I skipped a page on accident. Commander auras. You might be a bloodthirsty commander. You are most effective when you direct your troopers to finish off wounded enemies. Prerequisites: commander rating of 3 and any evil alignment. Benefit: allies within 30 feet of you gain a +1 morale bonus on damage rolls against wounded creatures. That's pretty cool. There's more, obviously, but that's. Are they goblins? Okay, anyway, that wasn't what I wanted. I guess what I'll do is I'll put the 1d20 plus charisma plus commander rating, and then I'll put the page number for the table. On page 74. And then outcomes in table on page 74. And then the other thing that I want to put is I'll write down everybody's commander ratings, which is essentially 0 or 1 for everybody that we currently have. But okay. All right. Our notes are prepared there. Good spot to leave off with that. It's all good. Got a lot done today. And even had some good topical conversations along the way as well. All right, what's the status with Ring Chronicles in terms of popularity and views? So I'll open that up really quickly. I think it is more or less at parity with the original campaign, is the short version. But let me actually peek at it. So there's always going to be, there's some fluctuation as far as how episodes do viewership wise. In general, without actually going back and doing the math, I would guess that campaign 1, season 1, so since the prologue, right, since we started counting again at Kalen Tower, has probably averaged about 70 views, with obviously the oldest videos having the most. Newer videos haven't had as much time for people to go back, so probably 60 to 70 views on the older videos, and the newer ones that still haven't kind of been ticking up, their average is probably more like 50 to 60. Right now, the Rin Chronicles episodes are actually both at exactly 48, which is kind of interesting. So, I think that's pretty close. Like I said, without actually going and doing the math, I think that the most recent Kingdom of Ren ones have been getting in the 50s. And that's 48 is very nearly 50. So I think I would call that broadly about parity. As far as number of likes, they're very similar. The Kingdom episodes, the more recent ones, which is probably the more valuable thing to talk about. So the more recent Kingdom episodes have been getting 6 to 10 likes. And the Chronicles episodes, one of them has 8 and one of them has 6. So yeah, I think it's off to a good start. Obviously, in general, we hope to continue growing all of those numbers. But I think it's not like it started off way worse or anything like that. It started off at about the same. The number of watch hours from those views is probably a little bit lower. But I think, well, so two things there. One, the episodes are shorter. So even when we get full watch throughs of an episode, they don't add as much time. And then two is I think probably a function of the party and the characters being newer. So as more people get invested in the campaign and the player characters and the players, then watch time will probably go up. I'm not squirreling. That was an answer to a question. Oh, also that says break starts now. Sorry, that was supposed to be stream ends now. I turned the wrong one on. It's supposed to be work ends. Probably gonna restart the timer when I do that though. Yeah, it did. That's a lie. We're not doing 30 more minutes. Yeah. We're at about 75 minutes right now, which is not bad. Not pushing 90, which is kind of our hard cap, like we had been doing for a while there. And I think last time we ended at like 65 or so. Did pretty good. Gotta get ready for fun times. Yeah. It's not supposed to be quite ungodly hot today. It's not in the 90s at least. But we are going to be outside. So, what the air quality is. Okay. 98 there. Gross. We have been between like 95 and 105 for most of the last like 4 or 5 weeks. It's been rough. So it's a little cooler than it has been, and the air quality, although not great, it's like 89 right now, but better than 95. And the air quality has been like in the 70s to 90s, which isn't horrible for this time of year, but isn't great. And today it's like 65. So both are a little better than we have been. But between that and just generally large groups of people that I don't really know, it will be fun. It will also be kind of draining for me. It will be both, but we'll get through it. And I'm excited to be there to support my amazing wife and her work and all of that. So overall, definitely more positives than negatives, but I will probably be pretty worn out tonight. But no humidity, yeah. Yep. All right, so that's it for us. Thank you all for being here. There will quite likely, I would say, be Working Wednesday next week. Thank you, RR. Appreciate you being here. Enjoy your food. We've been doing more Working Wednesday recently. I'm not going to commit to making it an every week thing because that's not my plan. But it probably will more regularly be 2 or 3 weeks out of the month than versus the like 0 to 2 that it had been being for a while there. So I guess overall, if the average has been 1 and some like 1.2 working streams per month, we're shooting for more like 2 or maybe 2.5. So probably next week, but obviously just keep an eye out on our schedule. Remember, tomorrow night in Discord, we are assembling, or at least beginning the assembly of the saltwater aquarium. And then Friday, we get to try out on stream the new Helldivers update. It's going to be fun. Thank you so much, Shalendor. I appreciate you being here, and everybody else, too. One more shout-out. If you haven't yet, don't forget to thumbs up the live stream. And if you haven't yet, we would super, super appreciate any other watch time or interactions with our session videos. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you soon. Have a great rest of your hump day. And as always, take care. and be excellent to each other.